Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. This is the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you, and happy to be joined to my left by Tariq Spence, WDKX. Hey, Tariq, how's your week been?
Taking it day by day, Bill. I think we all are.
Pat Duffy, how you doing, man? How's your week?
I have no idea what day it is, or if it's daytime or nighttime. I'm just getting to the point where, like, I'm allowed to drink alcohol during the day, which has gotten to about 8:30 in the morning. So I'm getting through, guys. I'm getting through.
No, see, so it's not all bad, right? What are you wearing? Anything special? Anything special as a jersey-wise?
I just decided to pull out the Jarius Byrd Bills jersey, guy who was supposed to be a stalwart for 15 years, and then all of a sudden went from star to gone, unfortunately. So who knows?
Can I ask you a question about these jerseys? Do you get them when they first get there, or do you get them when it's on the bargain bin?
A mix of both. This Jarius Byrd jersey I got while he was there because I was a big Jarius Byrd fan until he ended up in Tennessee, and now I only wear it for you guys.
Oh, special.
And you know, it wasn't on the agenda, but I feel like I have to ask Pat, do you like the new Tampa Bay jerseys?
They look like the old Tampa Bay jerseys. Like, I don't know what the change was. I was hoping they'd bring Creamsicle back. That's what I've been waiting for, but no, it's okay. Great. Tom Brady's boring, and the jerseys are boring, so here we are again.
I personally believe it would have been difficult to convince Tom Brady to play in a creamsicle jersey. Just my feeling.
Yeah, no, but they would have sold it, and they're probably still going to sell it. So they're going to put Tom Brady in every Tampa Bay jersey.
Tariq, we've been like, kicking around the whole idea about just how important sports are, in the American way of life. This really gives us a different perspective on the whole debate, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, imagine their schedule. I mean, for a lot of people, their schedule is built on when seasons start and when seasons end. Everything from the kickoff of a season to a banquet that ends a season. It's a part of the we have all different sorts of people or friends that we know that we see them only during the basketball season, only during the AAU season, only during T-ball or baseball or lacrosse or whatever it may be, because we've got active families doing so much. So now it kind of it slows all of that stuff down. And I was just thinking about this yesterday where we were sort of coming up with this topic. I really just feel for the high school seniors. I mean, for juniors and sophomores and freshmen, you can come back next year and maybe have another season. But for the seniors, this is it. Like, this is not something that can be done all over again. So it really kind of puts everything in perspective of where we go from here, especially for those that may not even play their sports in the spring.
Pat, I get asked by a lot of people, this must be killing you. But frankly, I'm surprised at how little not having sports on TV and the like has impacted me.
Really? Because I feel the opposite way. Like, I'm at the point now where when I'm getting into bed, it's just by habit. And we're 3-4 weeks into this, and still by habit, I start flipping down the, channel guide to see what's on. And there's nothing on because I want to watch sports. It's driving me insane. And what I've realized, and I don't know if this is a good or a bad realization, we need sports to forget how tough things are. And I'm not even talking about something like a massive, global pandemic or something like World War II, things like that. I mean, we all have struggles in our daily lives every day. We all fight our own battles. We're all pushing our own rock up a hill. And when I have the ability to pop on the Bills on Sunday or pop on the Sabres on a weeknight, it makes me for that 2 to 3 hours forget that I have all these problems in my life. And without sports, Bill, I've started to realize there's a lot of things that I need to take care of. So, I mean, it's a blessing on one side where I take care of those things, but I don't really want to think about those things at all, so I need sports back. I need it back. It's driving me nuts, Bill. I can't believe you don't feel the same way.
At the end of the day, just imagine this. For example, there's a Sabres game at the end of the day. For me, there's a Knick game at the end of the day. I know that at 7 or 7:30 tip-off or the puck's going to drop, and then we'll see how – it's kind of like the cupcake at the end of the day, or whatever it is, that treat, that dessert at the end of the day, where if you had a great day or you had a terrible day, that game could really put you in a better mood by the end of the night or make you even more frustrated. And you don't have that. You don't get that at the end of the night.
Yeah, mine sort of becomes personal. It's like I look at the Red Sox, and I can go without this baseball season based on what I've seen there. But it's like, I've got the Bruins and I've got the Celtics, and it's like, man, I don't lose this opportunity to see these teams go after it because I get a real shot. Very good. We talk Buffalo Bills next.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay & Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
Welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko, Tariq Spence, Pat Duffy. Pat, in a rare moment of clairvoyancy last year, I went and predicted, I think in the last week of the regular season, that the Buffalo Bills had become the favorite to win the AFC East. And this was before Tom Brady left, and I really didn't think he was going anywhere. I just thought Buffalo was going to wind up with a better roster. With everything that's happened still, Vegas has got the Patriots with 9 wins over under and the Bills at 8.5. They still think New England's a better team. Do you?
No, it boggles my mind, as a matter of fact. People want to make the argument that Belichick has been successful without Tom Brady. You can't use the year that Brady wasn't there as a measuring stick because he still had players that were there to play with Tom Brady. You had superstar players, and Matt Castle was a serviceable quarterback even though you missed the playoffs. Let's look at the years before Tom Brady, the years he was in Cleveland, which were a disaster, and the years that he was coaching before Bledsoe had his spleen exploded, at which point he was on the hot seat. If Brady doesn't come in, there's a chance that Belichick gets fired at the end of this season. We're going to find out what color the Emperor's clothes are, and I think they might be translucent. I don't think that with this roster, the Patriots are going to be able to compete even close, and frankly, I take it as a slap in the face that they think that the Patriots team, their defense, okay, solid defense, but the Bills played okay against that defense last year with absolutely no offense to show, is a half a game better than this Bills team right now? Are you out of your mind?
Well, the funniest thing...
What are we missing? We're missing something because Vegas doesn't get it wrong.
Well, what we're missing is the fact that the games have got to get played. I think that's what we're missing right now. We have to see what's available on the field and when these players will all be together to get it all mixed in. I think on paper the Bills should win. I think everybody believes the Bills should win. The problem here is that Bill Belichick has so much success. The Matt Castle thing is something that everybody loves to put their hat on. They've gone obviously with Bill over Tom. Tom is now in Tampa Bay, but the pressure is really on the Buffalo Bills to perform every single week. They can't lose those games to the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. Let's be honest. The Patriots don't dominate every team. They dominated one season out of all their runs, but for the most part against teams, they're not totally destroying them. They're eking wins out. And so now that bar has been brought down a bit with no Tom Brady, which means I think the Bills should have the advantage going forward. So something rings with Belichick's winning that concerns everybody else.
But you brought up pressure, Tariq, and how the pressure's on the Bills. I would disagree. I think all of the pressure is on the Patriots and Bill Belichick and every player on that roster, because every single thing that happens with New England this season will be measured against if Brady was there. And look at the 20 years you have in the past to measure success against, man. Every itty-bitty misstep Belichick's going to be questioned about. The players are going to be questioned about. And you don't have that quarterback in Tom Brady where even at the play he was at last year, you still thought there was a point in every game where he was going to bring this team back and they were going to win it.
Yeah, but this is what's going to give Belichick all the incentive in the world to win these games. And he knows he's not going to have the personnel. So now it becomes the mindset. It becomes the genius. It becomes the scheming. It becomes the planning. It becomes everything Bill Belichick does every single week anyway. So now the pressure, you're right, might be a little bit more on Buffalo to say, we can't lose to this guy now. He doesn't have the weapons. He doesn't have the quarterback. And he's given this sort of year to find out how great of a coach he's going to be. It's going to be interesting.
I'm going to take Buffalo on the over. I'm going to take New England on the under, but I think they either push or it's 8. I don't think it's that much of a difference, but yeah, Buffalo's over, New England under.
God, I can't see New England winning more than 7 games. We'll see. That's the fun of it all. This is Rochester Press Box, like it or not, is next.
Here's the Press Box trivia question, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390. Here's the Press Box trivia answer, brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Rochester Press Box, Bill Pucko, Tariq Spence, Pat Duffy. Pat, The Last Dance, Michael Jordan's documentary hits on ESPN very shortly. I think it's just a day out, I think. This is going to be one of the great TV events of all time, don't you think?
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going to be the one blasphemous guy that's like, I don't know. First of all, it doesn't have any tigers or people with mullets in it, and right now that seems to be hot, so I'm out on that. 2, what sports fan hasn't studied everything about Michael Jordan ever? I've seen 12 different documentaries about Michael Jordan. I am curious to know what I'm going to learn that's new about Michael Jordan in this documentary, because I am finding now, and I love these ESPN docs, I do, don't get me wrong, that sometimes they can go a little long just to fill time for the sake of filling time. And Tariq is making a face at me, so he is already thinking I'm being blasphemous.
I think you are. Let me add to the fact that I did not like Jordan as a Knicks fan when he played against my Knicks. So I did not watch everything on Jordan. I did not even buy Jordans. I was that
Whoa.
much. Yes, I'll admit that. I don't own any pair. Probably my son's got a pair that I don't own any pair. That's how deep the hatred for Michael Jordan was. But I realize as you grow a little bit older, you also admire his pursuit of greatness. And that's what's going to be so interesting about this documentary. Will they get into the team fights? Will they get into the big gambling? Will they get into some of the stuff that we all know about Michael Jordan a little bit off the court than it is on the court? What kind of teammate was he? We've heard that he's a great teammate. Some of the stuff that he trained.
He wasn't.
Well, watch the documentary.
See, and I'm going to get you to turn over to watch this documentary and then see for yourself footage we've never seen before. We'll find out. I'm interested in watching this just enough to know what drove the greatest player of all time in the NBA.
Well, the thing is, I think about Jordan is that he preceded the whole social media thing, so that we don't know this guy inside and out the way we feel like we know LeBron James. So I think there's a lot of uncovered territory here.
I don't know, man. Go ahead.
Duffy, you read all the books. You tell us what this documentary is going to have.
Well, bro, I mean, like the stories you've heard from teammates before, the awful things that he would do to people because of the arrogant attitude that he had. You have the rumors about why he retired from baseball in the first place. I know it's a conspiracy theory. I want to see if that gets addressed. And you also have to wonder, I mean, Michael Jordan is a very powerful man still within all of the 4 major sports in America. ESPN is connected to him in several different ways. I am going to be skeptical about how dirty and gritty and how real this thing gets based on the image they want to portray of Michael Jordan and what he would have allowed.
So, all right, let me ask you this then. If Michael Jordan bought a tiger, would you still watch it?
Is there other people that want his tiger? Because that kind of makes the whole thing work. Like,
okay, all right. So Michael Jordan buys a tiger and then a teammate misses a game-winning shot. The tiger mauls the teammate.
I'm in on that. I'm 100% in on that Jordan Tiger documentary.
I can't believe
we let that go off the rails a little bit, I think. Tariq, quickly, look, like it or not, the NBA might have something to learn and gain by actually shifting their schedule later when they talk about having the finals in and around Labor Day.
I kind of like it. Here's why I like it so much. It involves moving a bit of the schedule around. Let's be honest. We like tip off of the NBA, then we go right back to the NFL, then we wrap up baseball, and then right around Christmas when everybody's teams are out of it in the NFL, we're back into the NBA because it's Christmas Day NBA, because that's the tradition there's been. I'm not sure about tipping off at Christmas, but that is their major part of their season. And by the way, you know what? Basketball really doesn't end after the basketball season in the winter. Kids go straight into AAU, straight into summer leag, and then goes right up to Labor Day. So why wouldn't you do it that way?
Yeah, I mean, basketball is a summer Olympic sport.
Yeah, and then you can try to incorporate some of the WNBA, college basketball. You can still do your draft. You could still, you're constantly getting more and more out of basketball through the 6 months of the year. It's perfect for me.
Pat?
Yeah, I'm in it. Move it back. Give me the opportunity to watch these guys without any other distractions, and I think there'd be a lot more NBA fans.
Cool. Hey, we are the Rochester Press Box.
And now to Eichel. He floated one.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. We are the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko, Tariq Spence, Pat Duffy. Time for unfinished business. We go with Pat first.
We found out this week that the NFL will be having its draft on time as scheduled, but it's going to be really different. They're doing the first ever, and hopefully only ever, virtual draft where all of the scouts and general managers and front office people will be in their individual homes while drafting live on national television for 3 straight days. And I love seeing professionals brought down to a level of us normal people, because these NFL general managers who have worked their entire lives to get one of 32 jobs that exist in the world will be drafting their teams the same way that every idiot like me is drafting their fantasy football team in sports bars in August, right? And there are going to be issues, just like the issues we always encounter when we're drafting our fantasy football teams. Like, what happens when Jerry Jones is on the clock, but he's too old to understand how to reconnect his Wi-Fi that got disconnected while Atlanta was on the clock? Like, they're going to have to account for these things legitimately. What are you going to do? And how long are you willing to hold things up while Arthur Blank is yelling at his wife that the screen isn't looking the right way because he accidentally unplugged it when he tripped over it going to get some cookies and milk? I know this is going to be an odd feeling, but I'm all about finding the positives in things. And this is going to be one of the most unique sports situations we've ever seen. Sit back, enjoy it, and laugh at all the people that have no idea what the heck is going on.
I have to give credit to CJ McCollum of the Portland Trail Blazers. He said something in a recent interview that was pretty brave to do, but is very honest about what's going on. Back in 1986, the NBA put together what's called the Rookie Transition Program. It's basically a rookie symposium where they bring in for 4 days all of these experts to talk to young players coming into the league, teach them about media training, teach them about career development, teach them about social media, teach them about financial literacy and assistance. The reason why I say that is McCollum said that about 450 NBA players, about 150 of them will be living paycheck to paycheck if they don't start the NBA season back again. Now, this is not to insult people who are really living paycheck to paycheck with NBA players that are making 6-figure salaries or more. This is really just to talk about how important it is this symposium is. That symposium started 36 years ago, and we're still running into the same problem of NBA superstars and or regular players that get 10-day contracts running into the living conditions of paycheck to paycheck. It is something that needs to continue to work for the NBA players, NFL players, NHL players, Major League Baseball players. When you get these checks, there's no such thing as a guarantee, and you have to not only save a retirement for a rainy day or maybe a pandemic.
You know, I'd always wanted to be a sportscaster for as far back as I can remember. I grew up, well, obviously, before the time of social media, but it was also before cable. So these guys who did the 6 and 11 o'clock news were always important to me because you were getting your information fresh from them. I mean, it's where I learned to hate the New York Yankees. And then I became a professional, and it was always like in the newscast, 6 and 11 o'clock, it was news, weather, and sports. You know, it wasn't news, weather, and music. It wasn't news, weather, and medicine. News, weather, and anthropology. It was always news, weather, and sports. And we always had a news director that was hanging over our shoulder reminding us, you know, there's very few people really care about what you're saying. It's only 30% of our audience is sports fans. And yet they continued. It is always news, weather, and sports. I mean, what local TV station do you know that doesn't have that layout? Because it was important for people here in the Rochester area to know that Alexander was still beating up on Byron and that Wayne was all over Marion. One of our favorite inside jokes. We always love that. And then the pandemic hits, all right? And we've still got sportcasters on the air, even though there is nothing new to talk about. This was the perfect opportunity for news directors to come in and say, you know what, we don't need sports, there's nothing going on. You know what, they didn't do it. Mike Catalan, it's still Mike Catalan on sports every single night. You know, it goes back to the argument that we had in the first segment. It's like, how important is sports to us? In the words of Joni Mitchell, don't you always seem to go that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? Now we know. That's Unfinished Business, and that's our program. Guys, thanks for joining us. Pat, Tariq, nice job as always.
You're
thank
welcome.
you. I will say this, though. When the Bills beat the Patriots, that is number one in the news.
It does. It leads. I hate to lead the news.
It does. It's the number one news story on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right,
Pat, thanks very much. Great as always.
Hey, you guys, though, you.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week somehow in the Rochester Press Box.